is Mad Mike Marston for a reason. I tell you, just sitting here, we dared him to show us because we thought this was such a great VAV AHU application. I said, could you show us? And he said, yes. I said, yeah, you can pull this stuff out of your bag and just set it up here in the bar. And sure enough. So, Mike, just tell the Controltrends community how the IoT things is really making our world change, and how we can sit here in a microbrewery and talk about applications and all of a sudden pull out a bag of goods and actually start going into an application live.
You know why? Because it's not that hard. The hardest bit of doing everything we're going to show you here was getting the domain knowledge to do a really good air conditioning solution with fantastic documentation. But you're right, I didn't know I was doing a demo here. You just challenged me. Well, so what I've got here is a battery. I don't sell these, but it's basically I charge it with my laptop power supply. Right. And I got 120 volts coming out here. Nice. I got USB, so I've charged my phone. That'll go all day. And if I run out of power on my laptop, I can power that as well.
If you don't mind me asking, what's an approximate price?
About $150.
$150, okay.
Yeah. You can buy it on Amazon or eBay or whatever. Then I've got a little $2 power supply that we use for our training. Right. We actually give them away usually. Sure. And I've got an FG Plus, which releases next month. That's just what I carry around. Right. And here I've got a $20 wireless router. How many have you sold? Yeah. I've got a $20 wireless router. So now an FG is wireless. Okay. Why don't I build it in there? Because one, that is better, it's a router, it's only $20, and I don't have to get all the approvals in the controller for telecom, and it's a nightmare. Oh yeah. So I don't want to go there. So what we've got in here now, that's the whole thing, and I've got a tablet here. Maybe Ken, you want to just show the viewers the app? Well, I just think it's a beautiful application, and the graphics are all there. But what I like about it the most is the documentation is right there. The SD card that comes with the FG32 Plus is our document source. So we have our source documentation for the BACnet. You mind if I just look at the orange text? You just tap on it. Okay, so just make sure you get a tap, and it will bring it up, and you will get it in PDF. It will come up in PDF. Just wait for it to load. Okay. And there you go. And that's about a 20-page document. Right. So for our integrators out there that need to submit submittals and to use the reference documentation at the job site, it's all right here. It's all inside the FG32. Everything. So what we're seeing here is a true application of IoT. It just keeps making everything smaller, better, faster. And for the people in the integration world, EasyIO has got a solution for you. And Mike, one other thing is it's Niagara 4 ready. But tell people what that means and how this is a BACnet controller. You go anywhere needed, bring it into the network, bring it into the enterprise. Well, let me just dwell on that a bit. Actually, everything is Niagara 4 ready, because if you're using BACnet, it's going to work with Niagara 4. Right. But BACnet is not the answer to everything, especially when you start looking at web services. If you take I'll give you an example. Let's say you've got a supervisor and a Jace. Don't matter whether it's AX or Niagara 4. You're going to be using a protocol called Fox. And Fox is amazingly powerful, and everybody knows that, right? When I go and see customers and I say, okay, I've got the FG, they say, oh, it's got to be BACnet. I say, what for web service? Oh yeah, everything's got to be BACnet. I said, but you don't do that today, you use Fox. And it should be Fox, because that's a much more efficient way of doing it. Otherwise you have to buy all the drivers and the supervisor for BACnet, and it costs a bit of money, you know. And the BACnet is not really built to go over the internet. It's not ideal. You can use BBMD and stuff like that, but it's not really ideal. So what we did is, in Niagara 4, what Tritium have done is really come out with an amazing product. I love Niagara 4, I really do. I mean, I just can't wait to get it. I think our sales are probably going to double overnight. So what we did is we wrote a driver that works with the new API. Well, I think what Niagara did, I'm no expert on this, but they put an extra layer in the API that goes into the core of Niagara. That's how drivers work. People like Maxline did it. So Maxline wrote a driver called TCOM, which kind of behaves a little bit like Fox does, if you were going to use an analogy. So it means if I put Niagara 4 on top of this, I can learn all the objects, everything that's in there, without touching my BACnet. My BACnet can just sit there. So what we've done in here, if you press the return button here, we'll take you straight back to the application in the air handling unit. Maybe I didn't press it hard enough. I think you loaded it a few times. I did. Now underneath that I've got a BACnet documentation you can, oh sorry, I pressed the wrong one. You can give that to your customer and say, here's my canned application with my BACnet interface. Now what does that mean? Well, how many objects? Is it read-write? Am I allowed to write to it? Can I change a set point? Who has control and who doesn't? You know, you can really go through in detail, and I think that's the document. Yes, it is. BACnet object reference. You will not see a better application than this. Not the documentation anyway. You might find a better control of it, you certainly will, but yeah. So there are all the BACnet points documented in detail. Now, if your app is not identical to this, just change it and put it on the SD card. So really that's it, and as I say, next month the Chiller Sequence program, obviously that's going to be about 50 pages, because we go through the theory as well. You can challenge me on my PID loop, you can challenge me on how much proportional bend I'm putting in there, have I got enough integral gain, and you know, you tell me where it's wrong, because I think we've done a good job, but I would never come to America and profess to be better than you guys. But we do air conditioning systems, we learn, we ask people, and we've built this documentation based on experience. Next one after this one in July, we're going to try and do one per month. The next one is going to be a boiler and a heat pump system. Okay, so we're going to do about 10, and then I think you've got enough that contractors can go to their distributor, it doesn't matter which distributor, and they don't have to start from scratch. We do have a 2-day certification program. Sure. They've got to do certification. Right. I know your company runs classes, yours runs classes, and we've got a lot of people running classes. We're also going to have an advanced course coming out next year. But basically, a mechanical contractor who's a little bit savvy with controls can do this. And then, as a distributor, then you're selling Niagara 4 on top. So even on, and let's go and get the business, you know, why should we just be restricted to one small piece? Why don't we go and get the whole market, including these kind of places? Sure. And we have a bit of fun drinking beer at the same time. I'm not going to complain at that, right?
No,
I'll drink to that. There you go. Cheers.
Hey, cheers,
Eric. Cheers, Ken.
All right, there you have it, the inaugural episode of Mad Mike Marston's Control Pub Talk.
Oh, I love it.
I like that. That's
I
good.
like
we better
EasyIO.com.
We better copyright.
They call it easy for a reason. All right.